Welcome, everyone. You're listening to The Rally, a squad podcast where we have all sorts of squad guests on. We don't necessarily always talk about squad, but we're joined today by the one, the only, the off-world Ceeg. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Yeah, we had a busy morning for Offworld. Like we did like our town hall meeting where like everyone comes together like digitally or like physically, and we go to a local theater and we like talk about all of the updates and everything that's been happening in the last quarter. So yeah, things are looking good. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming for Offworld in general in the coming year, you know. So
That
it's
that
nice that we get to do these things.
yes, and that leads me directly into my very first question for you, which is, can you tell
Oh
the
man.
audience who you are and what you do? Because I know what you
Uh
do and who you are,
sure.
but I would assume there are people out there that might not be familiar.
There definitely are. I was playing, I mean, to tangent really quickly, I was playing King of the Hill the other day, and on my dev account, Carnage has given me my own custom skin for the King of the Hill mod, and it's a massive sphere on my head. Instead of so someone like yourself, you would know the sphere meme and stuff like that, but some like random blueberry out in the field was like, why is your head a sphere? And I'm like, oh, and then I had to explain to him like who I was, and he's like, oh, that's cool, man. And I'm like,
You
yeah,
feel so
it's
awkward.
still it's like I have to like explain myself, and like and that's fine. I love that. I love that I get to do that for people, and there's that conversation. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Kieran, or you guys will know me as Ceeg, as my kind of like my gamer tag. I've been using that as my tag for um uh, 7 or 8 years now for games. It's still it's like I use it on the personal side. I use it when I work at game studios, but I'm a community manager. My job is to join like teams, dev teams, and help be. Sorry if you guys hear the train in the background. It's it's interesting. Community management is like, so a lot of people like relate it to like marketing. It's not quite. It's kind of like the like if you think of a like a sales company of like phones, like phone plans, right? Like you've got your sales guys who call you up and they're like, hey, like you want to get this new plan, join our company. Like that's marketing, right? um it's the ones who then call you at the end of your commitment and end of your term and are like, you should stick with us, here's a really good reason why you should stick with us. Or like the ones who like give you really good customer service throughout that time. That's community management, but obviously translated into video games. My job is to make sure that the players are entertained, that we have that there's reasons to hang around within the game, and maybe even outside of the game, create communities and places that people can have fun, and like find like-minded others to play with, um, and then uh, I guess that's kind of the basics of community management. But then I also, I guess the other main pillar of thing that I try to hold up is the idea that I'm then also the voice of the players. So whenever you guys are talking about things that you want and things that you have problems with in the game, when you have frustrations or when you're happy and you've like created amazing content, I then make sure that that information then reaches all of the right eyes and ears inside of the dev team, and is like understood how kind of like important it is for them. So I kind of interpolate all that information and bring it to them in like digestible bites so that they're not always going around and finding information, because everyone's going to like have their own um like content creators that they love to watch. They have their own way of playing squad. So whenever the dev team members are like finding things, it's because they're finding it because of their own personal like choices. I try to make sure that I grab from as much of a wide kind of range as I possibly can, and then that's when that information goes to them. And then the same thing happens like in reverse. So anytime that you guys get patch notes, you get updates, you get to do public play testing, any information that you get on that, like your change logs and all of that, that's all me taking the information from the development team, from their technical tickets, from their conversations, and then translating that information across to a way that is um, enjoyable to digest, by the community. It's not like it has to be like understandable. A lot of people love technical stuff, and it's more of like it's a way that it can be like understood quickly and easily for everybody. And that's kind of the main thing of being a community manager, I guess.
Hey,
It's a lot
whenever I like
or
to
not.
think about your job, I just think about you're the PR guy who's the face that gets to put out all of the fires that are smacking you in the face.
I
And because I feel like everyone kind of is, I'll tangent us a little bit. I feel like
yeah, okay.
people tend to take a lot of frustration out with the game, and if they're gonna do it with anybody, they're gonna do it to the face of the game, which would be more or less you, right? I feel like you would probably get a lot of, I don't know, I feel like you could take a lot of heat.
I see a lot of heat. I think it kind of depends on you're kind of right. A PR person or a public relations person um, can be seen as like the face of a company or the face of a game. A community manager is a little different, and I think that people in general do kind of get that um, like that concept. Um, like, sure, there are people who will understand what my role is, even subconsciously, and be like, I have this problem with the game. I'm gonna go talk to Siege. Um, and it's like, or there's like, straight up, for example, say even Squad Arena, um, which was, by the way, for anyone listening, it's kind of like my brainchild of like a game mode mod for Squad that the first attempt at us like delivering it went very poorly. The when people have issues with that, um, like sure, I'm the one who kind of like deals with them, even if it wasn't something that was like you know initially my responsibility. um yeah, but it's not quite, I don't feel like people blame me or I take a lot of heat like personally. I'm just the one that channels that information, right? And I maybe that's just like me knowing the job and having done it for a long time. um like I've been doing community management since mid 2019 in games, and for about 2 years previous to that in tech. Yeah.
Which brings me right into the next question, which I like the way it's worded. So you're the, I like to call you the face of Squad, because if I think of Squad, I don't think of Bolts. I don't think of any other OWI representative. I like it's you. It's you.
But
But
think about it. I've only been with Squad. I've only been with Off-Roll for like just over a year. So like a year, it's been like 15 months or something like
has
that.
it
And you've been
really?
playing for an offer, but you've been playing Squad for an awful lot longer than that. You are a founder. Did you have a face of Squad before that?
No, it really
Okay.
didn't. In my mind, it was like there wasn't real. Granted, I was not nearly involved in the community as I
Right.
am now, but I
Yeah.
still, yeah, you were right. I'm a founder. I didn't really have, even when I was playing Project Reality, I didn't really have like a vision of the development company. It was more of just like I just played the game. I just played the game, and
Yeah.
I
But you would have
loved
read
the
patch
game.
notes. You would have
Yeah, I
watched update
mean, I
videos.
don't, not really. I mean, Project
Really?
Reality
Okay.
didn't get a lot of patch notes, I'll be honest. And if I did, I
Not
usually
even.
got them through like secondary sources. Like I'd have somebody,
Yeah.
even a lot, not necessarily now that I'm a partner, I get them beforehand to make videos, which I do read through. But when I played competitive League of Legends in college, and
I'm
I would
sorry.
always have, I know,
Okay.
I'm reformed. I'm reformed. I no longer play. I no longer play. Uh,
We might have to fix that.
I play Squad now. I
Yeah.
devote all that
You could
time.
bot lane with me in my Pantheon if you
See,
really want to.
I played support in competitive. I played top lane and support, and I really actually,
Okay.
I'm a mean recon. Oh, I'm a
Oh
mean
yeah.
recon. But what I was getting at is you're also a tattoo artist. I'm
I am.
curious on which
Yeah.
one gives you more DMs, because I'm betting your Discord gets blown up, and I'm betting your Instagram gets DMs because you're a tattoo artist. Which one's more?
Yeah, that's funny. It's interesting. Shit. Probably the Discord. Probably the Discord. Much to my dismay. It would
I
be
will
nicer for the Instagram, but
I know, because I at least send you one DM a week. I
yeah.
have that on my schedule these days. I send Siege
Yeah.
one DM a week. That's I limit myself to that. But we'll bump into the next thing. When people get a little fired up in the community, and there's some, I'm not gonna point to any particular cases. What is your strategy on handling that? Like, okay, we can let's take an example. Like
Yeah.
Squad Arena. What like
Mm.
that blew up in your face more or less. Like, how did you handle that to the community? Because realistically, I don't think anybody harbors any ill feelings even now. I think people are still excited. As somebody who is silently observing the development process, I'm really excited. But how do you
Yeah.
handle when things get pretty heated?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The Squad Arena one was maybe not the best example because it was, how did I put this? So Squad Arena was always meant to be a proof of concept, um, in terms of like, can we do this the initial way that we want to do it? So we want to run a tournament. We want to do it smallish. We want to do it all in one day, and we want to do like a vertical slice of squad, right? We wanted to like make it completely different from, or well, not completely different, but different in major ways from like say the main tournaments that you would see where you've got like 40v40 and like mostly full maps. You've got infantry combat, you've got vehicle combat, you've got people using helis, like large tactics across like lots of squads working together and so on. We wanted it to be, I wanted it to be, um, like that individual slice of just infantry combat inside of squad in a small arena. And the reason behind that design idea isn't really important. What's important there is that our entire goal was to prove to ourselves that we could do a like a tournament event, like organizing it, because we were like the entire community team at Offworld, bar Sergeant Ross, who's the executive of community, who almost everyone will know. He's been with Offworld since the beginning, in different roles. Like he was a designer for a while. He worked in marketing. He worked on community, and then he eventually became the director of community or the executive of community. Um, and he then built up our team entirely brand new over the period of the last like 18 months, roughly 18 months to 2 years. I think Estrella, who does Starship Troopers and Squad 44 at the minute, is probably like our oldest member, and he's also our youngest by age member, if that makes sense, on the community team in general. So nothing had been done with tournaments in a long time with Squad. It's on the official off-world side of things. I made it a goal, and the community team made it a goal for ourselves, that we wanted to bring competitive viewing back to Squad. Whenever it was around, it was fun for the community, and that's what our job is: fun. We want to make things that make the game interesting, like that people tune into on a Saturday morning whenever they don't want to sit and play, but they want to like turn on the TV and like have a couple of slices of pizza or beer, whatever they're doing, and like watch the game they love. Um, and having a tournament that people can look forward to is important for that. Like, okay, so for me, I used to play an awful lot, like you, I played an awful lot of League of Legends, but never on like a competitive level. I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, like a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. Like I've disgusting amount of hours in that game, um, and I'm still terrible. Um, but I would always watch the majors for Siege. I would always watch the Montreal and Invitational. Um, for years, I knew the casters. I knew the pundits. I knew the teams. I knew members on the teams, like just by name, like visually. Same way that people have like favorite football teams and stuff like that. It's like Tom Brady from the Patriots. Well, he's not a Patriot anymore, but anyway. And like you would know then from like League of Legends, the different competitive games, like the worlds, like everyone watches League of Legends Worlds, whether you play league or not. Like it's just an amazing event, and we feel like Squad deserves a piece of that pie. And if we can do that, and we can even on a small scale to kind of get it started, that's what we wanted to do. Um, I'm totally tangenting again, by the way, for this like squad answer or for this like squad arena answer. It's not talking about like how I like fix things when things go wrong. It's more just like explaining what squad arena was for.
No,
Anyway,
you're good.
I'll
You're
finish
good.
off
You're good.
my line of thought, and then I'll tell you like why I think Squad Arena was a bad example for this. But anyway, so basically that's where Squad Arena was. Like we knew that there something could go wrong. We knew, um, and that was fine because then we were like when it did go wrong, we're like, okay, great, we know how to pivot. We know the things that we need to fix. We sat down, we wrote it all down. Myself and Daisy like kind of went through a full list of things that were like, all right, all these things, fix them, come back, change the timeline of like how like give ourselves more time because we're like, okay, well, we had this amount of time before, it didn't work out. Let's give ourselves this amount of time and stick to that schedule, and we'll go for it. Which means then that like we're probably going to see Squad Arena back in like the third week of June or something, I think is our like current timeline. Next week we should have signups and stuff like that going out. As long as everything continues to keep moving the way we need it to, that's like, and so Squad Arena is going to come back. The reason like that I think it's a bad example in this situation is that it got spicy, but we were prepared for that. We kind of knew. But whenever things are getting like, so to kind of come back to the original question, which was things can get kind of rough in a community. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I know how to react? A lot of that comes from, especially here at Offworld, having a really good team around me, and being able to just and know that I can turn around and say to like people like Elbots and Luna and Australia and Sergeant Ross and just be like, hey, like here's the situation, all hands on deck, figure out like responses, places that we need to like write things like communication that needs to happen with the right people, and just act fast. I think like good examples would be like a game update that goes out that completely breaks things or something like that, and like and everyone's pissed about it. Like we did that update not too long ago where God, was it like 8.1 or something like that, or like a hotfix on 8.1 where
Yeah, that
like
broke
the
all the halves
helicopters,
in the
the
helicopters.
yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't see through a bunch of soft materials and stuff like that. Yeah, like communication on those kinds of things is where things get like it's like it's like stupid devs, like I could do your job, like all that kind of stuff. That's when you
Oh,
see
I'm
all
sure you
that
hear
kind
it
of
all.
information. Yeah. And I think those situations are it's like um these are like mostly what I would call soft skills that I've like developed over years. Like I've been working in like customer experience jobs since since I was like 16, you know? First of all, it was like a clothing store and then a grocery store and then like different like call centers doing customer service and then teaching people how to do customer service and all sorts of stuff, and then across into finally into like the tech side of like community management, social media, and then into games. And it's all related, right? And all of those like soft skills, all of those like ability to like know when a situation is needed to like how to approach them and how to talk to people. And that's it. Like my main thing for all of these things, like when something gets like spicy, like it's you keep your cool, you keep your head. And I don't always do that. I have in the past said things that I regret, you know. And you just have to like kind of go back and you be like, you know what? Like at that point, yeah, I'm sorry, I said something I regretted, and but then you can continue on to be as human as you possibly can, creating that human like connection between a player and a developer breaks down so many problems. Whenever you can be a face of like not just a face of a game studio, but a human, like that joins in, plays with players, and that's part of the reason that who I am and for 10 years you didn't know who the community manager was for squad, and for the last 5 years there was a community team, right? Previous to me joining, for 5 years there was a community team with a community manager, and it was never really obvious to you, right? But that's part of the strategy, is to be human, to be myself, and allow for that connection. And I guess it kind of helps that I'm naturally a player of squad. Like I have been playing it since on and off since like 2019, like very casually. But like I understood the game. I understood like communities. I knew how all of the servers worked. I knew that there were sub communities within all of those like servers. And I had found ones that I liked playing on. Like my main server that I played on from like I'd say like 2020 onwards was mostly the potato fields. And then also another one that existed that's gone now. It was self-sufficient blueberries. I
It
played with
it
those guys.
it's crazy how many communities turn over. It's what like
Yeah,
being around as long as I have, I've seen so much turnover in
right.
communities, and there's a few that still exist from the beginning, and those are I usually have pretty good relationship with those people because they're just old school players who have a similar mentality. So
Right. Yeah.
that's what I like about Squad is it has those. It's it's got that onioniness to it. It's got layers. My my
Layers.
my
Yeah.
my Shrek reference there for you.
Yeah.
Which
No, but it's cool. And there's that core, right? If you want to come back to using the same kind of like reference of this vegetable. Um Onions have cores that don't go anywhere. Um and you usually don't eat them, and you can use them to grow more layers. Um like that like yeah, for sure there are communities that have been around for a very, very long time, and there's a lot of respect in that. But yeah, like I mean, like when it comes to strategy, um I hope I answered that.
yeah, no, you did.
Sometimes I talk myself around like
I
stuff, and
I feel like I shouldn't have used Squad Arena, but I also didn't want to take the low hanging fruit with the ICO. So I just I
yeah.
figured.
Well, hey, you know what? Like that's an interesting one, because there's like I wasn't here for ICO, right? I was a player, and an active player that, like, I'll be honest with you, I stopped playing at that point for a while. Because I wasn't like super invested to the point where I was like always reading patch notes and stuff like that. But I had a good friend of mine who actually lives locally here, that I played squad with, and he was like a 4,000 hour player kind of thing up until ICO. Um, and he then stopped, and because I remember one night, like we finished playing Escape from Tarkov, and I'm like, yo, you want to go play a couple of runs of squad? And he was like, man, they just put in an update, like we don't want to play that right now. I'm like, okay, well, let's, like, I don't know, go play Apex or something like that. And we played some Apex or something. um but the Yeah, I mean, like going back and like looking at the way things were handled for ICO, there's like I'm sure you would be able to then take um reference to say how things were handled with ICO to how things are being handled with Unreal Engine 5. And you can see the differences, right? Because even though I wasn't the person around for something like ICO and how that was all handled by community and the dev team and stuff like that, we know yeah, that was like a fuck up. That was something that we didn't really want to like have to happen again. And there was ways to um like stop it from happening, you know? Like if it had been like done in a completely different way, handled by like a different team, like say it was handled by like me and the current community team, I don't think the ICO could have been as contentious a point as it was. And that's nothing to do like even just with how um the like how I spin things to the community, or how I say things out, like, give you information or whatever. It's all everything to do with how much the community is then heard internally. Because like I mentioned earlier, like one of the big things that I do is I gather information from literally every source that I possibly can. I hear it from everywhere that I possibly can, even if I'm not like always like interacting. I'm scouring constantly. Always watching everyone's like content videos. Excuse me one second.
I'm a little concerned if you're always watching my content. I know you are because I see the messages. There was some videos that were some upset people, and I voiced a slight opinion, and you hit me up with a message, and I was like, you know what? I like Ceeg. He's in the know. He's in the know.
Yeah,
He
man, that's it. And I watch everyone's videos. I do my best, even like some like ones that are like other languages. I'll watch them with subtitles if it's available and stuff like that. Because like content is fun, but that's the other part of it is that I want to make sure that I'm hearing everything I possibly can. And like I don't even know how many squads like discords I'm in. Like,
a lot. I feel like every Discord that I am in for squad related. So I had at this point I've tried so hard to keep my Discord servers that I'm in limited, but it is
yeah,
incredibly difficult with the squad community because it's so expansive
yeah,
and everyone has their own Discord. So, I mean, squad
yeah.
in and of itself, they're like for OWI has 3 that I'm in. If you,
I know.
I mean, you can't really count the
And
King
I
of the
think I'm in
Hill
like
one.
6.
You can't count the King of the Hill one
No,
because,
no, it's a community one. That's a
well, I
community
guess
server
if
at this
you
point,
could
or
say I
like a
am
mod server.
I am an additional one because I'm in the Squad 44 Discord,
Yeah.
which I hadn't been in. But let's get to the next question, which is how
Sure.
do you avoid burnout when you're essentially online, always online? Like I remember receiving messages from you at like 2 a.m. and I'm like, Ceeg, what are you doing, dude? Like, the, I know you have a job, but
Stop
like,
outing me, dude. Stop outing me for
I'm like, I look at my
that.
phone and I like, there's no shot Ceeg just DM me this late at night. There's no way.
Okay, so I I do try. I do try not to do that. I do. In general, I am extremely good. I'm getting a really tickly throat.
I think you had too much pepper with your lunch. Or it's all or it's all the Thai coffee that you've been drinking. It's
It could be that Vietnamese like condensed milk
yes.
coffees, not enough water. Um, I may take a moment. If this continues, I'll maybe take a moment and get a glass of water, but I'm okay at the minute.
No, you're good.
Um, how do I avoid burnout? Um, I watched a movie recently that uh one actor asks the other is like, how do you avoid that like dark feeling that like like allowing depression kind of thing to kind of like come in and the other actor like jokingly kind of goes, I just push it way down and just ignore it. And I feel like that's how I'm about to answer this question.
See, just like
It's
my
like, how do you
burnout
avoid burnout?
strategy,
I'm like,
not
it's like
healthy.
the yeah, it's like the Hulk answer is like that's my secret. I'm always burnt out. No.
I was gonna
No.
say your strategy is to boot up League and just let it all out.
Right? Yeah, just remind myself how bad it could actually be.
True, you could be managing a community like League of Legends. That's a community.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, it's so burnout for me is definitely something that I've felt before and I have experienced it and had to deal with um in a really real way. Because like you said, like I'm also a tattoo artist, like I do that in my spare time. So a lot of my time, like a day for me looks like, 9 to 5 for squad or just whatever hours I need to put in. Like, it could be 10 to 6. It's, in general, it's 8 hours of work for the day. Depending on if there's like a bigger thing going on. Um, then, I'll get up, I'll make dinner, or my wife and I'll have dinner, and then we'll, sometimes I might have like a tattoo client that evening, which means that as soon as I'm finished work, I hop on the train or get in the car and I head straight to my studio. In general, I try not to have clients during the week. It's mostly just weekends. Um, but then then so like weekends and then some other nights I'm drawing, I'm making sure that I've like got my my drawings prepped for the next client, or if I'm like trying to like draw flash and like designs that I can try and sell to people that aren't like booked in and stuff. And then yeah, so I mean I'm kind of constantly doing something. I mentioned to you off camera earlier that like I'm like a 2 a.m sleeper. Like I don't go to bed until like whatever. The days that I find hard are the days that I like work from home. and something specific is maybe going on in my brain that like I can't like separate. Like, and I keep like my art desk separate from my work desk, or like my computer at home. Like I've got my computer and my setup and all my screens and everything, and then I turn 100 like 180 degrees around, and I have like an art desk which has like a nice like fold up, and I've got all my supplies on the wall and stuff. Um, which is really nice because then I'm not looking at screens while I'm trying to like draw. Um, but like if I'm gaming, like I'm on the same computer at home, like playing Squad in the evening or playing like Escape from Tarkov or like whatever I want to play. Um, I I'm on the same computer that I've been like working on, and sometimes I'll even have my Discord, my work Discord, still signed in, and then I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta send Urso a message, or like, I check in with somebody, or like I see a DM come in late night because that person's in a different time zone than me. And then sometimes, yeah, it's just like, I'll be sitting watching Twitch or like checking out like a YouTube video, and I'll just like casually respond to a few messages. And yeah, like those days, I realize I'm doing something I shouldn't be, because like most people don't give a shit if it's 12 hours later, you know what I mean? I just like will sometimes catch myself. But I do make sure I do things like this. I never leave my work Discord account on my phone. Um I have uh weekends where, yeah, sure, like if we have an update, like so whenever like Unreal Engine 5 and stuff like that launches, or during our Unreal Engine 5 playtests, yeah, I sign in on my phone, because for that weekend alone, like I just need to be on call, that's fine. But other than that, no, I find it like, Offworld are incredible about making sure that every employee does everything that they possibly can to avoid breaking that work-life balance. They're really, really good. Like I don't think I like in the year and a bit that I've been here, there's never been any real crunch, apart from I think there was like some crunch time around Starship Troopers launch for some of the team, but that was kind of to be expected, like big launches and stuff. I don't think we're going to see it for Unreal Engine 5 for Squad. Um it's one of those things that the team work effectively throughout the amount of time that they need, and then whenever they need to extend things, if they need more time, they take that if they need it. um but no one will push themselves past that limit if they don't need to.
Are we
That's it. I mean, like, it's also experience, man. Like you gotta like, I'm sure like with any job, like if you've been in the kind of situation for long enough, you know how to like say, all right, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna want to throw myself off a bridge. So let's not keep doing that.
uh
But if the employer is good enough, then they recognize that too and allow you to like not force yourself into like terrible, terrible work.
when I mean, just for my own curiosity and love, when are we going to see the next Siege goes and plays with the community? Because those are my favorite.
Ah,
When
I
Siege
want.
just randomly pops up the off-world stream and goes
I know.
and hops into a server, those are I think those are some of the most fun streams I've seen from off-world, and I would assume
Yeah.
very positive community interaction for the most
Yeah, yeah,
part.
absolutely. Absolutely. The Uh, so I play Squad like a good few hours a week, just like personally, and like I'll play on my personal account and hide from everybody, um, which is kind of nice. The Squad streams, man, I'm sorry, the Squad streams have honestly meant to be happening way more often. Um, my goal is to try and have one once a month, um, but I have been failing at that because of all of the Unreal Engine 5 playtesting stuff that I've been kind of managing. So when it comes to organizational, like on the community side, the Unreal Engine 5 playtests are like obviously communicated and everything by me, but internally it's myself and Carm who organize it all. We make sure everyone has all of the things that they have to do, all of the builds are in the right places on the right timelines and stuff like that. So when it comes to playtesting, I even organize that internally with Carm, um, the lead QA guy. So so there's even more of that going on behind the scenes, and it's just meant that like with like wanting to do live streams and stuff, haven't had the time. But I think I said to myself for the next playtest, um I want to do a live stream, so not this week but probably next week. and I'll just be like jumping in, playing with the community, having a bit of a laugh. Maybe we'll get the point of view of me shooting grenades at you, or you doing the same to me. Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
got to be what I think. I'm going to feature that clip permanently on my Twitch, just like right at the home screen. It might become my new
Yeah.
channel trailer per se. Is just Siege, just 240 mics right into me, right
Yeah.
into me.
To be fair, I think the second one, or was it the first one, was like blast from a building that probably shouldn't have hit you.
Yeah, I think it was the second
Like
one.
you
I
were,
I was flabbergasted the second one hit me because I was up
yeah,
against the wall and it like
you
I
were up against a metal fence, right? And
yeah
then behind you was a brick building by it was maybe only like a 10 feet away from the wall, but I hit the building and it splashed and hit you, and that's what caused the bleed. And then the second one, I just fucking missed. I hit the fence and killed you.
But speaking of the lovely interactions with 40 mics, there's a clip of me running down Harju on the coastline, and I take a 40 mic to the face, and the explosion happens in my player's screen, and
Oh no.
I didn't get killed, and I was like, I was like, there's no way that just happened. I ate the whole thing, and I didn't die. Oh,
That's crazy. I
before.
wonder if it was like a was that like an arming distance thing maybe?
No, because it hit me from a good range and it hit, I mean, it hit my nose. It,
Yeah, yeah.
and it didn't hit a tree. There was no trees around me. I was on the shoreline. I was just
Yeah.
moving and just, I mean, it hammered me. But I just bandaged it. I just bandaged it,
You
walked
just
off.
like just tank that. Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
got moving.
before I'm gonna pivot outside of squad, but I got one last question just because I know you're the king of leaks. So I was
Oh
wondering
man.
if you had any little tease or leaks for anyone about UE5, anything. You could I mean just to give you that opportunity.
Hey, I could maybe be really vague.
No, no, I don't want to get you
I
in
would have to be
trouble.
really vague. I would have to be really vague.
We
But like Unreal Engine 5, like it's funny. Like we were kind of talking about this today. Like Unreal Engine 5 is this big, massive thing. It's this like it's really is a reimagining of Squad, right? Like it could have just been a new game with the amount of work that the team have had to put into it and changes and so on. It really could just be a new game. And I looked at some like some a player actually did some really amazing side by side videos of like there were practically stills, like he was standing still and it was just like looking into a certain area, and they were, oh my god, they were amazing. Like the differences in just standing in like Al Basra, he was standing in, oh gosh, where was the other maps he was in? I can't remember the other maps he was in, but he was looking at the exact same, like the exact coordinates on both screens, and like there were short videos that merged into each other. um And it's crazy. It's a completely different game. I've just been playing so much of the Unreal Engine 5 playtest for so long that I feel like I don't see it. But then, like, when you literally look at them side by side, you're like, holy crap, like, it is a different game looking, you know? Um,
Yeah, I have that
so
same sentiment. I'm like, this is night and day different.
Yeah. But I guess what I want to like what's something that we're trying to like figure out internally as well here is that like it's not the end, right? Like Unreal Engine 5 is this massive fucking thing that we've been like hammering and working our way towards, and like even internally we've had to kind of go like Unreal Engine 5, like it needs to go out. It needs to like hit the streets because we have so much more to give. There's so much more that needs to happen that we need to have Unreal Engine 5 in place for us to kind of like push forward for these other things that are coming. And I can't leak anything just yet, but I will say is that um it's going to be it's going to be good.
It's
From
gonna
what
be
like
good.
as a squad player, genuinely, I think it's going to be good. I think
I
there's a lot of cool stuff coming that people are going to enjoy.
I think there's a lot of I don't let me rephrase that. I know there's a lot of potential because you have to look at the predecessor. Project Reality had so much depth to it that we don't necessarily get within Squad, but I feel like that upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 will kind of allow the development team to explore newer features. like personally, I think the thing that changes the game and quite frankly isn't talked about as enough is the grappling hook from Project Reality. The ability to it just changes everything. You get somebody that's
Yeah.
like pinned into a building, you could attack them from two different angles now, or multiple
Yeah.
different, like your ability to move through the map is so much more dynamic, given that little, just a little tool, just a little thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that will open up that UE5 will at least allow the development team to kind of explore, especially with the Basra update. Oh my gosh, wow, that
It's an
map
incredible map.
is incredible. As
Yeah.
somebody who has such a deep tie to the original version of the map, I feel like
Right.
they honored the original version in how they recreated it. It's everything they did was, rather than changing things, was just pushing that concept forward. Like that
Yeah.
the airport could have easily been transitioned into something else, but no, they chose to create all of these new assets and all of these
Yeah.
new things to just overhaul that entire environment to make it feel that much more alive. And they could have easily transitioned into something else and just not even paid attention to it. But I want to get outside of Squad because I know there's a lot more
Sure.
to Siege that is out of Squad. And I'm gonna do, the first question is gonna be League of Legends. Why?
I know.
Why?
I don't know.
What
It was a
if
friend of
were you
mine
was
at
it a
another
weak
game
moment?
studio.
Was it a weak moment?
Kind of. It was like it was like my first game studio. So I didn't play League really, not really, before I started like into the games industry. I mean, I've been playing games for a very, very long time. Did you know that I was semi-pro Halo 3?
Really? I have a guy in
Yeah.
my group that would be very interested by that because
Yeah.
he's a big Halo guy.
Semi-pro Halo 3 back like 2009. 2009. I think 2009. Played for the Angry Saints in a UK league. It was the UK Summer League I played in. Just one league, but I played with these guys for like 3 seasons. Yeah, it was fun. So I mean, I'm just trying to like point out that I've been playing games for a very long time. But yeah, the league thing. Yeah, it was a buddy of mine um at like my first game studio. He was obsessed with League. He was really good at it, and he was like, "I can teach you how to play." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he was like, "Pick a character you like, just like in the screen. It's like pick one that you like. Like, let's make sure that you like the look of them, like the sound of their kit, and like we're just gonna learn that. That's all we're gonna do." So I find Pantheon,
Not a bad one to
and
start. When I had that
he
same
was
question, my brother gave
yeah.
me that same question, and the champion I picked was Jax, and
Oh yeah, okay,
not
yeah.
quite as
Good top laner, good
kind.
jungler, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
but a
like,
heck of a learning curve for a brand new
yeah,
player.
yeah.
But Pantheon, okay,
So my
Pantheon's
buddy,
not
so
a
my
bad
buddy then
start.
took me. My buddy took me then in Pantheon, and he was like, "Here's the thing that most people don't understand about League is that any character can pretty much play any lane if you don't give a shit about how that game is played." So he was like, "All right, Pantheon. Here's what you're going to learn how to do in support. Here's what you're going to learn how to do in mid, and here's what you're going to learn how to do in top." And we had the best time. Oh man. And I think that experience of me like having like really good fun with like a buddy playing a game and like not really caring about like the outcome of how those games went. We were just like having fun learning the characters. That got me into League to the point where I was like, all right, now I want to win. Now I gotta play. I never made it out of gold, by the way. Um but yeah, I know. I did try though. Um but yeah, then so like I learned like a whole bunch of different like characters. I mostly played support and top. But Pantheon support was one of my favorite like roles to play, and I remember getting flamed so much for it until I got to then play with the bot laner, and they were like, "Yo, actually, you can do this. What the hell?" And it was
Well, there was
a lot of
meta.
flanking moves and yeah, a lot of flanking moves, a lot of stuns, and yeah, I was outperforming the bot laner sometimes as well. It was pretty good.
Pantheon support was meta for a little bit there.
Yeah,
I played as I told you prior to, I played top lane and support. And when I played top lane competitive, my number one, they would always stick me on this character was Mordekaiser. Oh my, I was an
Mord Top is an
animal,
animal. He is.
animal.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I got my first. I
yeah,
got one of my first pentakills was in a competitive match as
yeah.
Mordekaiser, and we still lost. I was the only lane that won in the game. So, and I got a pentakill, and my team's like, "Well, that was exciting," and then we just lost because
Yeah.
we were playing against some insanely good teams, and I was
Yeah.
playing for my university, and we don't have a lot of skill. I go to
Not a lot
I
of
I went
selection.
well I went to a smaller university
Yeah.
at the time. So, but tattooing, how did you get into that? Because you were talking
Oh,
about
that's an
being
interesting
really
one.
like
Yeah.
into drawing.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always been like a like an artist, I guess, is what you would say. Most artists don't consider themselves artists. It's just like a thing, self-deprecating. But no, like in high school or the equivalent of it in the UK and Ireland, I did art at like A level, which is like your last 2 years of school where you're specializing in like specific courses and stuff that are meant to try and help you get into university. Um, and art was like just something I absolutely loved. I loved doing a whole bunch of different um, types of art, like traditional painting and drawing and stuff like that. I loved. One thing I was never good at was like sculpting and like clay work and stuff like that. Never really took off for me. What did though was prosthetics and stuff like that as well. So like making like clay models of like say like elf ears or like goblin faces and stuff like that, and then making them into like silicon prosthetic masks and stuff. That was a lot of fun. I did stuff like that. But then I got into university. I did pretty much graphic design. It's like a 3-part course of graphic design, web design, and multimedia production. Um, and then did that, worked at a design studio for a little while. Um, then I came to Canada. I came to Canada. I didn't continue working in design in any way. Um, just worked odd jobs for a little while and then got into like tech and stuff. But for a long time at that point, I wasn't doing any art really. Um, but I had always wanted like so from like maybe like I'd say 10 or 11 years ago, I'd wanted to be a tattoo artist. There was a point in time where when I was working those odd jobs and stuff, I was like in between jobs, and I was like I want to I want to be able to like make money for myself. Like how do I do that? And like I was still drawing at that time, and my girlfriend, now wife, said to me, she was like, well, why don't you become a tattoo artist, or like why don't you go get a tattoo apprenticeship? Is what she said to me. And this was 2013. This is 2013. She said that to me. Um, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And so I went looking around, brought my portfolio, did some specific kinds of drawings, hung around at a couple of tattoo shops, and I eventually at one shop I got accepted to be an apprentice. Um, but the guy who was going to apprentice me, he said, "You got to be here like 10 a.m. to whenever we close, and whenever the shop's all cleaned, 6 days a week. And You got to be drawing, you got to be cleaning up after, you got to be learning, you got to like all of the what we would call bitch work, basically, in a lot of situations in a tattoo shop. He's like, you got to do all of that for us, and like you're not going to hold a tattoo machine for 6 months, like blah blah blah. Like, and he was like really old school about it, and there's a lot of really good reason behind doing all of those things. For like younger people, it like people who have like not held like a regular job or had like world experience and stuff like that. I mean, I haven't lived at home since I was 18, and I was like 25 going into like this, trying to get this tattoo apprenticeship, and he was treating me like I was a dumb 16-year-old. And I was like, man, I actually can't do this. I'm in my first apartment with my girlfriend. Like, we're paycheck to paycheck as it is in an expensive city like Vancouver. Like, I can't be unpaid as an apprentice for a year, 2 years, however long it goes before I can earn any money. will just not survive. And I don't have my parents to fall back on. My parents are back in Ireland. You know what I mean? It's not like I can move back in with them and like support myself or like have them help me support, and work towards this. So like I couldn't do it at that point. So I kind of gave up on the dream. I just like said no, I'm not going to bother. And I went about my business, got other jobs, worked all sorts of stuff, got into the games industry. But about 2.5 years ago, I was in a contract job with Small Impact Games, who made the extraction shooter Marauders.
Oh yeah, I played that a
Um,
little bit.
yeah, I was their community manager, and I for like a year and like a year and 2 months or a year and 3 months or something like that. But it was like a contract position that I knew was going to end um, at some point, and unfortunately, it ended a little sooner than we expected because their relationships with the publisher and stuff like that started to go south, which I think is pretty common knowledge these days. But they ran out of money in terms of like keeping me on, so I got let go. And it was like they were great, like they were absolutely phenomenal. I've never had anything bad to say about those guys. Like they gave me so much notice and stuff, even as a contractor, when like literally they could have just been like wake up the next day and be like, yo Kieran, sorry but you got to go. um but they didn't. They gave me like 2 months notice that it was ending. But at that point, it was really tough in the games industry. There had been a lot of layoffs, a lot of like studio shutdowns, and like reductions in team sizes across the board, across North America, across the world. It was that at that time, like 2, 3 years ago, when it was like shit was going sideways a lot for a lot of people. So I found it hard getting a position for a while there, and I had this moment sitting at my kitchen room table. Um, with my wife, and I was just like, I think my wording was, I'm sick of relying on other people to put money in my bank account, like for me. Um, and she was like, and it felt like this. It felt like, like you could like cut 10 years ago and 2.5 years ago together and be like, why don't you be a tattoo artist? She said the same thing to me, and I'm like, what? Like, and she's like, do you know how much like online resources there are now for you to do this? And she's like, you also have a bunch of friends now that are tattoo artists. Like, you have people, it's a different situation. Because like I would go and I would get tattooed, and like I make friends with people, and like hang out at shops and stuff like that, and just like go for a beer with people and stuff like that, which is kind of a fun way, like a fun thing in the tattoo industry. Like if you, by the way, for any of you watching or listening, if you enjoy spending time with your tattoo artist, offer to take them out for a beer. They will almost 100% at some point say yes. Because we just want to be like, we just want to hang out. We just want to be seen as real people too. Um, the so yeah, she said that to me, and she is or she was for like a couple of years a permanent makeup artist. So doing like eyebrows and like lip blush and some of these other things that you use a tattoo machine for. And it never crossed my mind that the tattoo machine that she used was the same as one that a regular tattoo artist uses. Different size, different shape, a little smaller because it didn't need to be as powerful and stuff in a lot of ways. But it was one of those newer like pen machine style machines. Um, and she was like, "Yeah, it's like it's upstairs in storage, like in the closet. Like, do you want me to go get it?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So she brought it down. We got like out one of her like fake skins that she had for like practicing. It didn't feel great. It was terrible. So I ate a banana and like used the skin and just like placed it down on the table on top of some cling wrap. Got some of her pigments. That was like a brown pigment for like eyebrows. Didn't even have black. And I like wrote like just like hi or hey or something into it. I'm like, whoa, like holy shit. And this was my first time holding a tattoo machine. I was like, this is it. Like this is what I want to do with my art. Um, and that was it. Yeah, at that point I just started learning everything I possibly could. I would be considered self-taught um for tattooing specifically, but I had a lot of mentors, so I went and I spent time with like friends who are tattoo artists, well known and respected tattoo artists in the industry in like Vancouver. I went and spent like 2 weeks with a friend of mine in his tattoo shop, where he's the only tattoo artist for like 100 kilometers, like off in like Vancouver Island, in the middle of nowhere. And he was busy every day. And I didn't touch a tattoo machine or anything while I was there. I just like I made like two notebooks full, like of like this size. Is this my book? This might be my book. Like two notebooks like this size filled with notes. This is my book. Why did I leave this here? Anyway, uh, um, yeah, I had like two notebooks filled with just like notes on like him like cleaning his shop, like how he kind of like even things he spoke to, like ways he spoke to his like clients, like his prep work, when he swapped out gloves, when he used different types of like liners and different types of needles for tattoos, because something that I didn't really consider was that like you need to be using lots of different variation types of needles to get different types of results. And yeah, so I spent tons of time learning. I after like tattooing that banana, I didn't tattoo anything for weeks until I had like done a whole bunch of more learning about like setup and prep. And I think it took about 4 or 5 months before I first tattooed myself, and then like another month or so after that before I tattooed another person. So I took about 6 months, 6 months of like learning to change my drawings, 6 months of like learning to be like as responsible as I possibly could be of other people. And because it's like it's crazy. The last thing that any tattoo artist wants is like have a person get an infection. You know what I mean? Or like you let you screw them up. Never mind them again. Like that you screw them with the tattoo. You know. So it was a lot of time spent figuring out all of the technique and all of the stuff, and speaking with mentors and going, and I went and got tattooed a bunch of times to talk to people and be like, hey, look, I'm trying to do this, have you any pointers, or like can I ask you a couple of very specific questions? Like I'm not looking for an apprenticeship, I'm not that kind of person, I can't get into one, but I would love to like pick your brain a little bit. And a lot of people, like whenever you explain it to a lot of like tattoo artists, especially like some of the guys who've been around a long time, they're fully down, whenever you like ask those kinds of like respectful questions, and like and you understand that their time is valuable, and like and you do it in a way that like you go and you make a bit of like you put interest in them, as well. So it was cool. I mean, and it's something that I've like really enjoyed. I do it part time. I have no intent on at the moment in changing that. Like I love. It's kind of funny. I love both my jobs like just as equally as the other. And like it's funny then when I'm talking to like tattoo clients, and I'm like they're like, oh, what do you do as your like day job? Because I have to like tell them it's like I can't do daytime like Monday to Friday and stuff like that. I can do evenings for small stuff, and then I do weekends for big stuff. So sometimes people get booked out kind of a little farther, and they're like, "Oh, well, what's your day job? Like, what do you do?" And we're like chatting when they're getting tattooed. I'm like, "Oh, I like work at video games. I'm like a community manager." And like, kind of usually I'll be like, "Oh, it's like social media at a video game company." And they're like, "Well, shit, you got two cool games? Like, like save some for the rest of us." Or you got like two cool like jobs. I'm like, "No, save some for the rest of us." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's very fair. It's very fair."
Yeah, I was gonna say my day job is nowhere near as fun as yours, but I love my day job. It allows me to have the ability to do what I do in the squad content world, which is nice.
Yeah.
So when I get the notification that the Unreal Engine 5 playtest is coming up, I know that I will be able to stream it, even if it
Oh,
starts
that's
in the
cool.
yeah, even if it starts in the middle of the day. I just talk with my boss and outline. My boss is very good about if the work is done, there's no need to do busy work. If you are
Oh yeah,
meeting,
that's the
if
same
you're,
here. Yeah.
yeah, if you're meeting your deliverables, there's no reason for you to like sit in your office and work. So as long as I stay on top of my job, I get to do fun
That's
things.
nice.
But
Yeah, that's nice. Do you work from home as well in your day
I
job?
I do sometimes.
Or you can?
I have an office. It's about 2 blocks from my house, so I just walk.
Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of funny. Like same. Literally, my house is like, or my apartment is like 2 blocks away from the
I
office here.
I pretty much can see my office from my front yard,
That's funny.
which is fun in the summer because I walk, but in the winter I'm like, I'm driving.
Right, that's
It's
right.
too
You're
damn
in.
cold.
Yeah,
I'm
your mountain time. That means that you're
oh
gonna
yeah.
have like no matter where you are in North America, it's gonna be cold as shit.
Yes, our cold we'll get about a week and a half in January where it's -45 with wind chill,
Yeah,
and
no thanks.
it's like all my friends. I used to have a lot more friends in Canada when back in the day, but we'd always compare weather, and they'd be like, "Well, I'm in Canada. It's all cold up here," and I'm like, "I don't think you realize I live at 7,000 feet, and I live in a wind tunnel. All right." The wind,
Yeah,
like when you're where you're at, it's like, oh, a high wind advisory, and it's like 30 to 40 miles. That's just a fucking normal day, dude.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
our high wind advisory is like 60 to 90. All right. Like when I truly get a message that's a wind advisory, it's gusting winds above 60, which
yeah. You're
is
battening down the hatches, as they say.
oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I look at if I wake up and it's that way, I'm not going in. I'm gonna work from home because
yeah,
I don't even want to leave my house. But yeah,
yeah.
it gets cold, nasty here. But uh the thing you were talking about with watching the guy on the island is very
Mm,
akin to what I was doing in my student teaching when I was observing my mentor teacher, was just watching how they ran the classroom, watching specific language that they used, watching strategies and all of that, to because my I had a phenomenal mentor who,
yeah,
for all intents and purposes, as soon as the day ended, he was done. He never graded
yeah,
homework at home. He never worked extra at night. It was when the day was done, he had it to where he had such a strong system that he was done. He just went home, and I admired the shit out of that. So
yeah.
I
I advise like anyone that I like ever speak to in any profession at all, find yourself a mentor of some sort. Like Elbots. Elbots is like he's the same age as me. He's like 2 3 months older than me or something like that. But I would consider him like an extreme like mentor for me at Offworld. Like I have one-on-one meetings with him like weekly. We'll talk about stuff. Like I'll pick his brain about questions. He's worked in the industry probably about as long as I have, but he got really like he got not lucky, but he managed to pick his career path to go in a certain direction where he's more on like a production side of community management. He spends an awful lot more time organizing other people. And organizing like internally as well. So like he then can take a like a team lead position within the community team, which is what he does, and like helps all of us on individual games to do our jobs better and manage all of our time and everything better. So and he's like so he's then therefore been in like some really great positions. He's worked on games like Age of Empires and like he's done some really cool stuff. Um, so he's been really like really great. So I would always say to anybody, like at any point in any career, find yourself a mentor, whether that's a person in your studio or in your office or whatever, or just someone else that you can find on LinkedIn that does the same job at a different company. Just buy them a coffee, offer to go and like hang out with them. But yeah, absolutely learn from people as best you can in any way if you want to like do better in the role that you're in, or even better, find people that are in positions in jobs that you want to do, right? Like we would regularly like as a team, like there's been other budding community managers in the industry here in Vancouver who have wanted to get into being a community manager, god knows why. But they but we'll go for coffee with them and stuff like that, you know, and it's fun. It's a nice way to meet people, but it's also like a really fulfilling thing to both be mentored as well as mentor someone, you know what I mean? It's really cool.
that's basically all of the questions I have for you. I did push you to tweak a question for me. I don't know if you were able to get that time. I
I
know you're a
can
busy guy, but I didn't know if you wanted to have any closing questions or thoughts.
I don't think I was able to write a specific question for you or so, but I guess I did wonder about something for you on this, and I was like, what do you hope to what's your end goal with the podcast?
My end goal, not
Yeah, like
very
what are you hoping to happen with this thing? Is this like a casual thing? Are you hoping to like
the
grow it?
it's one of those things that I think it will naturally just grow, just given exposure over time. There's not really a destination for it. It's mainly to It's a tool that I'm trying to force myself to use to engage with the community in a more meaningful way. So I can strengthen my connections with different aspects of the community. I had Slay 3 Kilo on the last time. I love that guy to death. Him and I have a much stronger connection now that we did a
Yeah.
podcast. Before that, I had Geeky Panda, and then now I have you. I want to reach out to server owners, things like that. The goal is just to try to strengthen a little bit more of a community feel across
Mm.
the community side. You could do it from the official side.
Specifically, yeah, specifically for like squad, you kind of want to start connecting more of the communities and stuff like that. Is that the
Well,
idea?
and the other thing is like seeing people outside the game, right? Like
Yeah.
those who know me know that I am a very strong and stubborn-willed person in game and can be very, very vocal, uh, which plays to my benefit at times and to my detriment at others. But I also want people to see me as somebody who's not just someone who plays a lot of squad. I want them to know
Right.
that I love gardening. I am growing my skills as an arborist. Like just all of these things that I do that take up more of my time than the brief time that I stream. So
Yeah.
it's
I love that role, that title, by the way, arborist. I have a friend who's an arborist in like officially an arborist
oh, I'm not. I'm all self-taught.
in
I'm like you.
Massachusetts. He's like, yeah, he's out like he's outside, just outside of Boston, I think now. But he works for the government as an arborist, and I'm like, that is like the coolest shit.
It's
You
a
know?
very like learning soil. Like I tie it all together, so uh it's learning trees, learning gardening, learning soil science, learning all of that, how it mixes together and how they all feed into each other is very fascinating to me. And it's very interesting to learn how much life there is that goes unseen that plays into the life that we live. A lot
Yeah.
of the reason that I don't know if you have this in Vancouver, when you go buy produce, if it's not very good, there's usually very strong reasons for that, and it's just poor farming.
Mhm.
Society, the science behind why we use, or the reasons why we use fertilizers the way we use them over time is very interesting, because there's a shift in culture that happens in like the 60s, between the 40s and 60s, when they moved away from like traditional style agriculture and more into the modernized mechanical style agriculture, which they
Right.
thought was good, but we're seeing the impact of that today. People talk about bees dying. I talk about soil dying. Soil dying
Yeah.
is much worse than bees dying. They're both terrible, but yeah, that was kind of my goal with the podcast, is just to build a stronger sense of community amongst those that play squad, but also kind of tear the barriers down of like just seeing them as two-dimensional people. Like you specifically are a much more dynamic person than just a community manager. You play a multitude
Yeah.
of games. I'm sure you have a multitude of interests that we didn't even discuss today. So yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
like I just that was the goal, is to kind of, and it's I get to leverage my position as a partner to kind of have the pull to ask people like you to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Absolutely.
my position as a partner is very much in the sense that I am almost not I hate I don't want to say that, but like I owe a certain level of responsibility to the community given my position. And I need to execute that in the proper way. So that's kind of why I have, and again it goes back to my detriment and to my benefit, the way I've acted as a partner. So that's kind of my goal. I hope I answered that for you.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I guess I have one last thing. Is like, how would you like to take a selfie with me in like September?
You can't
That's all I'm
tease
saying.
you can't tease me like that, Ceej. You can't. I got that email like last September, and I was a little late to the response, but I when I got that email, when I know that it's could be considered silly, but that badge, or the patch of being a founder,
Yeah.
is so, it is to the same level of importance of like the impact that it had on me when I received my official like partner uh sweatshirt.
Right. Yeah.
there's nothing like incredibly fancy about it, but it's like the simple fact that I get to own something that shows I actually wear it anytime I go on a work trip. I will wear it in hopes that I will find somebody that recognizes it. Because like
Right.
that
Yeah.
is such a niche thing, and I had somebody in Washington D.C. notice that I was wearing a squad
Squad hoodie.
jacket. They had no idea who I was, but they're like,
Right.
"What do you do? What do you, why are you wearing a squad jacket?" Like I just watch people on YouTube play that game, and I'm like, I just thought it was cool. So, yeah, I would love to eventually have that opportunity. I think that that would be
Okay.
incredible.
Cool. All right. We'll talk more.
Alrighty.